In our Spend with TMS segment, it's going to be all about the auto scrappage policy. So I think all those who love their old cars or have sentimental values attached to them, this is a segment for you. Let's bring on board Kranti Sambhav, editor and lead auto for Times Drive. Hi Kranti, good evening and thanks for joining in today on the show. So, this scrappage policy that has come about, which kind of car owners does it penalize in a way?
So the press, briefing after this whole address in Lok Sabha, what we saw, Minister of Road Transport Nitin Gadkari, he categorically mentioned that this is not going to penalize anyone. So even if you look at the time frame, I don't think it will be. We can call it kind of penalty because 20-year-old cars or 15-year-old commercial vehicles we hardly see these days. So what government has tried doing with this is, trying and put a certain kind of deadline on those vehicles. But I don't think this is going to penalize any, if your car is fit, then you don't have to worry about the penalty. Why? Because even if you're, as you mentioned, even if you have vintage or old cars, Minister himself mentioned that they will be coming with some more guidelines for vintage and classic cars. And at the same time, you can always keep your old car with extra because that registration fees might see some kind of increment. But if it is fit, it is fit to run on the roads and it's not, polluting the atmosphere more than any other car, then I think you're good to go.
Okay, all right. So not necessarily penalized, but the idea is that, if you do scrap your old car, then you get a discount on your new one. So, what is the discount that we are looking at? And also, I believe that there's been a surge in the RC fees as well of your old cars.
What we've seen, is like right now, since most of them are kind of advisories or proposals where we see different players in this equation. A, center, obviously. B, state governments. C, OEM, manufacturers. And what the minister has suggested that for these old cars, you should get the scrappage value should be 4 to 6% of your the ex-showroom price of your vehicle. Plus, they have asked the manufacturers to give around 5% discount for a new vehicle in case you have the certificate that you have scrapped your old car. And then there are two different, recommendation or advices for state governments as well, where they've asked a reduction of road tax by 15 to 25%, depending whether it's a commercial vehicle or a personal vehicle. And they've also asked, to waive off the registration fee. So these are the recommendations where we've seen different elements, different aspects of this, where we'll have to see what kind of implementation or a final result we're going to see as far as the on-road price of any vehicle is concerned. But what most of the experts or most of the industry watchers, they're suggesting maybe 10 to 15% reduction we are going to see. There was one more element which Mr. Nitin Gadkari had mentioned about the GST reduction, which is under center. So we might see some kind of, he mentioned that he's still to hear from the finance minister. So we'll get a better idea what finance minister is thinking about reduction in GST. But these are the elements which are going to be in the play as far as reduction in the the prices for new cars are concerned.
Okay. Would it make it then, unattractive? I mean, would you recommend then that these individuals who have these really old cars should rather just go ahead for this policy? Because, if they keep on waiting, there's a possibility they'll get absolutely zero any which ways.
Yes, that is there. That was, if you see the briefing, what he did after the presentation in Lok Sabha, he was very clear. He was very categorical about that end of life state. Any car, if it doesn't pass the fitness test. So any car owner who wants to get into, I mean, in reality, I'll talk about that. In reality, what we are seeing these days, we hardly keep, like in most of the metros, we are seeing 3 to 5 years life cycle. Most of us are keeping these cars for 3 to 5 years or maybe 7 years. So 20 years, I guess, is, it's a stretched out limit. So which means that all those people, all those customers who just kept their cars for a really long time, now we have some kind of regulation that, okay, this can't go beyond that, because government also wants to discourage those old cars from running on the road. And that is why in few months, we might see re-registration fees, which are going to go up. So we're going to see some kind of increment. And if you are running your old cars, which have cleared the fitness test, you still have to give some kind of green levy or extra tax. So government is trying to discourage those owners. So I would suggest that in case you have that old car, if it is not vintage, if you don't have that, the big emotional value attached to it, I guess get rid of that car.
Okay, fair enough. Let's ask. Let's then, talk about what is out there then as a good alternative. For after I scrap my old car, what do you think is the best proposition right now in the market? Let's assume for a city car.
So I guess what we've seen is that right now government is, if you mean that how can we go about it? So what we have heard that these automated fitness testing centers will be incorporated and established with the help of PPP model, PPP model, and we might see automated tests, because everything depends on the implementation we are going to see as far as this car scrappage policy or vehicle scrappage policy is concerned. Because if you see similar kind of corruption what we see in the registration or fitness tests right now, if automated fitness test centers, they don't provide that kind of transparency, we might have some problem with this policy also. But the announcements, as far as Minister is concerned, I think in case we have those old cars, we should definitely look at scrapping those cars and going into new cars, because the technology is also changing really fast. Okay. Cars are more affordable and more tech savvy, and correct, lots of gadgets and features.
All right. Well, Kranti, thank you so much once again for joining us today on the show. But we are completely out of time, so we're going to wrap it up.